So there wasn't much movement in mortgage interest rates last week. We're basically starting this week where we started last week. What did happen? Well, there was a lot that happened, and there's going to be even more for this week, so let's take a look. In housing news last week, we really saw some conflicting data as new home sales were near their highest peak since 2022, but existing home sales were the lowest they've been in the last 3 weeks. Not really conflicting because of interest rate data, but it was interesting none the same. Other than that, last week it was a pretty quiet week and there wasn't a lot of news and not a lot of moves in tariffs, not a lot of financial reports that came out. What about this week? Well, Monday, today is quiet, but tomorrow we will see the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. That's what we track or look at to track values of houses. We'll also see retail and wholesale inventory numbers. Those will be interesting in light of tariffs. And then consumer confidence, will it continue to drop? Almost 50% of the consumers think we'll be in a recession sometime in the next year. Wednesday, we get ADP employment numbers. They have been surprisingly consistent. We'll also see consumer spending and the big PCE report, which of course shows us what's happening with inflation, which is kind of gone to the back burner, but may come back to the front. Thursday, we'll see ISM manufacturing, and then Friday, U.S. unemployment rate, non-farms payroll, and then factory orders, again, something that we'll look at in relation to how it is impacted by these tariffs. All right, so where are rates? Again, according to Mortgage News Daily, the 30 years at 6.84%. That's just under that 7% threshold. The 15 years at 6.25%, and the FHA 30-year is at 6.24%. So what's your number? Do you know the number? Have you figured out the number? It's hard to know the number. The number is, what is the interest rate at which it makes sense for you to pull the cord on starting your refinance? When you're ready to refinance, what does that rate have to get to in order for that to make financial sense? There's a lot of things that go into it. What's your current rate? If you're at a 3% rate, there is no number because we're never going to get down to 2%. But if you've bought a house in the last 3 years, there's a number because the chances are pretty good you purchased somewhere in the mid 6s to even 8%. And 1% is the general rule of thumb that if you can cut 1% off your mortgage, financially it makes sense to do so and you'll recover your closing cost in 3 years or less. But if you don't know your number, then how are you going to know when to get started? So if that's you and you don't know exactly what your number is, some of you may not even know what your current interest rate is, and that's easy to forget as time goes by. Why don't you pick up the phone and call Weber Mortgage at 823-6701. We'll have a conversation with you. We'll help you identify where you currently stand. We'll talk to you about what your plans and goals are for the house, and then we'll figure out a number that makes sense in total savings for you so that when that number gets here, you're ready to move forward on your refinance. If you don't do it this way, that's okay, but I promise you it's going to be tough because when the rates drop, the phones ring off the hook and it's tough to get to everybody. So if you're anywhere above 7% for sure, but even 6.5% or above, please pick up the phone, give Weber Mortgage a call. We want to talk you through when it makes sense for you to refinance. We want to do that because we're a family in the business of helping families.